More Americans aren't just thinking about getting vaccinated against COVID-19, they're actually doing it. Check out these results from the Kaiser Family Foundation. In January, 6% of those polled received the vaccine. Another 41% planned to get the shot as soon as possible. But by April, 56% had gotten at least one vaccination, with another 9% wanting to get it as soon as possible. And for those who don't, the list of reasons why not just runs the whole gamut, Dave. We've heard some, frankly, kind of scary reasoning for not getting the vaccination.
I should say, as two men sit here, I would argue that perhaps men may be the biggest, problem with this.
We're the problem.
With Dr. Pedati, let's talk about something involving perhaps more women have brought up, particularly younger women thinking about having kids. Bailey had submitted this one. What if the vaccine makes you infertile? And so her concern here, she goes on here, but it's a new vaccine, and could this have some implications later on? But that is some of the things we were hearing from younger women earlier on when vaccination started, that there could be some concerns that this could perhaps inhibit their ability to get pregnant. So how do you respond to that?
Yeah, it's an important question. And so I want to emphasize a few things. Again, all the same safety processes that we always take for vaccines like this were followed for these, which is good. Other things to remember are that the particles, the pieces of the virus or the pieces that look like the virus, these proteins that we offer through a vaccine, they degrade very quickly in the body. They don't hang around. What hangs around are your antibodies. So those proteins that your own body makes to help you remember how to fight the virus. So that's what's left. And so on top of that, I would like to emphasize that it's important not just to make sure that we're thinking about the effects on pregnant women, breastfeeding women, women of childbearing age, but also the effects of the virus. So unfortunately, we have seen that COVID can cause serious illness in women who are pregnant. And in fact, offering vaccine to pregnant women has been great. It's helped to protect them. It's offered really important protection, not just for them, but for their babies to some extent as well, which is great because until recently, we haven't had a lot of options, a lot of tools to help protect that pediatric population. So it's another way to protect women and children from this virus.
And for those still concerned about the Johnson & Johnson, when that was paused here, the half a dozen women who suffered those serious blood clots. There's 6 women out of 6 or 7 million people who had been immunized there. Any lingering concerns about that?
Yeah, so that pause that was taken was an example of an entirely appropriate response to receiving information about the vaccine and the side effects or potential side effects that people report. So that means that the systems that we have in place to monitor safety and look for these kinds of things are working exactly the way we intended them to. And when we saw that there was something that needed more investigation, we took the time to get that information, understand it, make sure our clinicians and the public were well informed, and move forward again to make sure that this tool is available for people who need it.
We run the risk as members of the media, when we raise these questions, of planting these seeds of doubt in people's minds as we debunk them. I'm curious what Dr. Winokur thinks about the messaging when it comes to addressing all the false information that is out there. Is this something that should be taken head on or ignored so it's not suggested as something people should even consider?
That's a really good question, and I think that there are people that will argue both sides. One is you have an individual who maybe truly wants to hear what the science says, and they're willing to listen and they want that, but it does continue. Every time you talk about it, it continues to raise a question in people's minds. So I think there isn't a perfect answer to that question.
We hope we're reaching as many reasonable minds this afternoon as possible. Let's bring up a reasonable concern from Penny Heimbaugh, who wrote on Facebook that the problem is that rural communities can't get Pfizer due to storage issues. We know you can walk into any Hy-Vee in Iowa at any time of day, as long as the pharmacy's open, you can get a shot. What if your town doesn't have a Hy-Vee?
Yeah, so when we think about wanting to make tools like vaccines available to everybody, right, regardless of your age, regardless of where you live. And so this is an example of a way where the logistics, the technical pieces that go along with a vaccine, and in the case of mRNA, needing to keep those very cold, are things we have to think through to make sure they're available. But the good news is we're making advancements all the time in the way that these products are packaged and in how long they can be appropriately stored in a refrigerator, for example, to help increasingly expand those opportunities and that access for our rural Iowa communities.
Dr. Winokur, since there could be some kind of side effects when you get your vaccination, maybe it's your arm, maybe you almost get flu-like symptoms and it knocks you down a little bit, whatever it is. Since we have two doctors here, we may as well hit them up for some free advice here, right? So what do you recommend to people before they get that vaccination, and then what should you do to care for yourself right afterwards?
So the percentage of people that have a side effect that's significant enough that they might miss work is actually fairly small. And so I don't recommend anybody actually pre-treating themselves with Tylenol or Motrin or anything like that. I ask them to wait, and if they have symptoms, a bad headache, a fever, or sore arm that's sore enough that they need some kind of pain reliever, then take the medication. But really, many will find that their side effects are not very significant and they don't need any of these medications. But I don't think they need to do anything special. Just come prepared with the knowledge that you can have some of these side effects and it's normal. And those side effects will usually go away within 24 to 48 hours. And you can use Tylenol or Motrin if you need to.
A nurse told a friend of mine to drink a ton of water beforehand and drink a bunch afterwards. Does that help? Or is that just good practice anyway?
That's not a bad practice anyway. It helps only in the sense that we do have a few people that don't like to get shots, and having them nicely hydrated helps from not having a dizzy spell getting the vaccine.
Great point. Dr. Winokur, Dr. Pedati, thank you so much for joining us this hour. Dave, thanks for organizing this conversation. If you still have questions after what you've heard this hour, please reach out to us on Facebook, on Twitter, or at news@whotv.com. That's our email address. We're back with Ed's forecast right after this.